anything about that.
Because I'm sure you're gonna be correcting each other's memories. So just lean off with that.
Well, first I'd like to say that we sort of visited back in the 50s at Nashville the other night, and we're sort of, in a way, going back to the 50s today, because this is the way we used to spend Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
And now we text each other.
No, we don't. No, I don't text anybody.
You're out of touch.
Hey, Judy,
Have you got your, I can't get her to
Did y'all have a video
play.
camera?
House on
No.
her phone.
I'll go get
No,
her.
we didn't
Okay,
get the
she may
video.
not have my number
That's when you
anymore.
still use the box camera.
Yeah,
The brownie?
yeah, it had a wrap on it. What was your earliest memories? And let's start moving from Oklahoma City. We moved from Oklahoma City to Tennessee. What was your best memory of that trip?
Get that trip over.
Get it over with.
We rode 4 days in the top of a 37 International
Cattle truck, wasn't it?
cattle truck loaded with everything that the family had. And right on the top, Dad left the front part for 4 boys to see. And we left Oklahoma City, and Dad had fixed a sort of a tent thing over there. And we were sitting right over the cab, and had a Judy the bulldog with us. And we would stop. Mother, no offense, where is Judy?
Is that what you called her back then, the bulldog?
She's gonna give herself
Judy.
one. Judy, they're out here talking.
Judy was a English bulldog. Well, she learned to use the pot. We didn't have an indoor toilet.
Yeah.
And Mother swears that Judy watched everybody use that pot. She heard the lid knocked off the pot one night and went running in there, and Judy was sitting there by the side of it. She swears Judy tried to use that pot. I mean, that was how
You talking
smart.
about the outhouse or the?
No, that was
We had
in the
one
bedroom.
in the house.
Chamber pot.
Chamber. Yeah, a thunder mug.
Thunder mug.
Yeah, that's what it was. A thunder mug, what you call it. But she rode with us on top of that truck all the way from Oklahoma City, and it was a 4-day trip. And in the truck, every time Dad would touch 40 miles an hour, Mother would reach up and hit the top of the truck. That's how long it took us to, and couldn't drive it too fast.
Was that to tell y'all to hang on, or was that bragging?
That means
because you
hang
hit
on,
40?
we're up to 40 miles an
Yeah.
hour. But he never did get over 40.
How many nights did we stayed in roadside parks, didn't we, at night?
We stayed on the Arkansas River one night at the edge.
Well, is it true Grandma cooked the roast on the manifold of that truck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure is. She fixed it under the hood and made it stationary, something, wired it to it or something, and we had fresh roast.
Yeah,
There wasn't no aluminum foil then, was it?
there wasn't.
No.
There
What'd she
wasn't.
use? A pot?
I don't know how she cooked it. It may have been just laid on there like a skillet.
It's a flathead egg.
There wasn't any motels back then, and there was tourist homes, which they now call bed and breakfast.
They didn't serve breakfast.
No, they do now, bed and breakfast.
I mean, tourist homes.
Oh, yeah. Tourist homes, you just got a bed. I guess. I never did stay in one, did you?
No. Well, Jane and I did going to
Yeah.
Michigan.
Yeah. But anyway, we slept in the old truck in roadside parks.
Hey,
And
where you-
I
where
thought,
are you?
you know, I was just 5 years old.
Yeah, barely. Where are you?
I understood
I
that,
said,
you
where
know,
are
we were
you?
moving to Tennessee.
Now, you gotta remember this. He's telling stuff that a 5-year-old remembered.
You're telling stuff that is 7-year-old.
Well, yeah, but I was older than you.
Cindy has her.
But anyway, I
Here we
thought
go.
when we crossed over from Arkansas into Tennessee, we were home. But we was halfway.
Yeah, Memphis, that's
Yeah.
halfway.
Halfway.
Yeah.
And we celebrated like we were.
Oh yeah, we're there. We stopped. We learned we was just
Sandy,
halfway.
I got her.
She
You
going
didn't
in.
realize how long Tennessee was. Or
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Back up when Dad worked for Oklahoma City Air Defense, and when Oak Ridge opened, why he a lifelong friend of his opened a Kaiser Fraser car dealership, and he wanted Dad to come out and manage it. Well, Dad did, and they had a fight one day, and Dad quit and went to work at Oak Ridge. And at Oak Ridge, and I remember him telling us that we were going to move to Tennessee, and it was just known as the Junction. That was out next to Harriman. And,
Was that Midtown?
yeah, Midtown now. But he said we're moving to a farm.
It's just a clear
That he had
insulated
bought.
cut with an R on it.
And if any of you remember Green Acres, the city couple that bought, he was a lawyer, and he
okay,
retired,
Mama.
and he moved his wife out to the Green Acre farm. Hooterville. And he said it was a Green Acre type farm, or he was moving us to a farm like he was raised on. Well, we thought he's from a wealthy family. His brother was in the oil business and all that. But, boy, when we got to the farm,
We wanted to know where the house was when we was standing in the yard.
well, now this is no joke. You could stand in some of the rooms and pee through the cracks in the wall. You didn't even have to go out, so we didn't have indoor toilet. We had electricity, wasn't it?
That's all, one light bulb in
And-
each room.
The thing about it,
3 rooms.
we didn't have to be raised that way because he went to Oak Ridge. That was back when Oak Ridge was,
The secret city.
what? Oak Ridge was in the process of trying to get away from the atomic energy building bomb thing. And Dad went to work up there. And I mean, it was a well-paying job for back then. And he raised us up. He and Mother raised us up in a house. And it was about like what he was raised in. And we had a big bedroom. They had 3 beds in it. Long bedroom, you remember? Yeah, we had 3 beds in it. And didn't have any heat in the house except a double fireplace. And we would build fire in those 2 fireplaces. One was in the dining room and one was in the living room. And then the bedrooms were off of the living room. And the fire would go out during the night in winter. And Ronnie had already left home, but all 3 of us boys that was still at home would sleep in one bed, one little bed. And the only reason we did was to stay warm, and we've laughed about it. We got in that bed, it was like a bed of pups. I mean, we were but I think that helped. The 3 of us were always close. And I think that was part of it, was being raised like a bed of pups.
Yeah.
Wayne, is it true that you wet the bed?
Well, you know what? There was
He's
several
fixing to
nights.
lie.
Several nights. I woke up in a wet spot, but I couldn't figure out how the spot got wet and
I
my
told you,
underwear be
he's-
dry.
I told you.
And I figured it out. My big brother wet the bed, and he got my place and put me in his.
No, we had,
They couldn't figure out a way to
Hey,
change underwear with you?
but we always had our place on the bed. And he never woke up on my side of the bed. I'd roll him over and pee in his side of the bed and roll him back over. And he never figured it out.
He'd say, Wayne, wake up and go pee. Well, our outhouse was
But Wayne
outside.
would say, I don't gotta pee. And I said, yeah, you might ought to.
You might need to after a while. Well, the toilet was outside up on the hill. And you had to either pee off the porch or go way up on the hill. And when I would get up and go pee like my big brother told me to, I'd look and he'd be behind me. The truth is, he was afraid of the dark.
No, the reason he never went outside to pee, he
I didn't
discovered.
have to.
No, you discovered there was a knot hole in the floor.
You discovered it.
Yeah, but you used it. I discovered that knot would come out of that knot hole, and it was right in our bedroom floor. And you couldn't get under that section of the house. It was about that far from the floor. I mean, from the ground. And I was showing Wayne that plug, that knot hole that would come out. Well, Mother started complaining about our bedroom smelled like pee all the time. And she got to figuring it out that Wayne was peeing through that knot hole instead of going outside. Well, I was still going outside.
Well, mother was kept up with who was going outside and who wasn't.
Well, you wasn't. But that.
Whereas you didn't have to pay.
Yeah, Mama, I just got a big platter. No, you remember something else about that knot hole? You remember that brand new knife I got for my birthday?
Uncle Tiny gave
It was made like a dagger. It had little handles sticking out, but it was a folding.
What was the
pocket
grip?
knife. And my Uncle Tiny gave it to me. Oh, I was
Your
proud of
birthday.
that. Yeah, I was proud of that knife. It had multi-colors on the handles. And Big Brother saw that knot hole in the floor, and he said, I bet you something. I said, what? I bet you can't drop that knife through that knot hole.
Oh.
And he did.
And I didn't until he double dog dared me. He dared me and I didn't do it. Well, when he double dog dared me, I couldn't take that. I got over the knot hole and the first shot, it went out of sight, through the knot hole.
Under
You
the
can't
house.
get to it. So I guess when they demolished the old home place, somebody found
You're
it.
not.
Not. It was rusty if they did.
What
Because
about
you
your
continued to
wagon?
be on it. I mean,
Hey, Wayne, what about your wagon Ronnie got y'all for Christmas?
yeah,
The radio flyer.
Well, Ronnie went to work in Michigan,
Making big money.
Chrysler Motors, yeah. And he bought us a radio flyer wagon, first one we'd ever had. And it was Christmas. Now you tell me.
It's Christmas.
No, you
And it was cold, and the fire had gone down in the fireplace, and it really was cold.
You gonna
We got up
don't
and
embellish it.
we got out of bed, and we found that brand new shiny red radio flyer wagon, and we were all still in our long johns. And my big brother was the first one. He grabbed it, run out the door, and we lived on a hill. The barn was way down at the bottom of the hill, and it was surrounded with barbed wire to keep the cattle in. Don jumps in the radio flyer, goes down the hill, 90 miles an hour, hits the barbed wire fence. Tore his long johns up, tore the wagon up, and I didn't even get to ride it.
Well, you wasn't concerned a bit. I cut my wrist.
Well,
going
no,
through that
I was
fence,
concerned about that radio flyer.
bleeding like a stuck hog. And he was about to whip me for tearing the wagon.
Yeah, that's right. That radio flyer was pretty.
He wasn't gonna scab over the hill, was he?
That's right. He couldn't recover. But that's the story of our brother going north and making a lot of money. He sent a letter home one day and said, "You boys need to come up here. The money is falling off of the trees." Don wrote him back and said, "Send me some."
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? I fabricated that.
You embellish. No, we agreed that you don't lie, you embellish. You embellish the truth. You polish it up to where it's
Polish up.
Hey, Don, what about that girl's friend that you smiled at you wearing a dress? So
There we go.
Oh.
Make him wear a dress.
Turtle
Why?
nephew.
So he wouldn't
Oh.
come out and play with
Eddie left.
Eddie left you.
Eddie left you.
They hurt him. They got
He was a mama's boy.
Raised with women, 2 girls, wasn't he? Two sisters.
Yeah, 2 sisters and his mother. And we were country boys and just rough. And he got to where he would slip off and come over to the house and play with us. And usually he went home just skinned up like a cur dog. Yeah, and the day
That cur dog is not it don't have a certificate.
Okay.
we were cur dogs.
Okay, I've never heard that.
Yes, her dog gets skinned up as anything.
All right.
But we had there in front of the driveway went between the house and the barn, and then you'd go down a steep hill, and then you'd go up a real high hill. And that hill, just right out from the house, the driveway went down like this, and we kept it in cinders.
You shake them cinders out of the stove.
Yeah, so the cars could get up and down the driveway. And it was summer, and Eddie slipped off and came over. And we'd built a soapbox trailer. We didn't buy anything. We found wheels, and we took.
It's from that radio flyer you tore up.
Well, I said we didn't buy it.
All we had was the axles and wheels, so we made that soapbox turn.
Well, I took 2x4 and put the wheels on it, the axles and stuff, and Eddie wanted to ride it. And I said, well, we'll go down this Cinder Hill's what we called it. And he got on that soapbox racer, and I said, I'm going to push you and get us started good, and then I'm going to jump on it with you. And he was sitting up front, and I got to pushing him down that hill, and one of the wheels came off of it, and I pushed him right over the front of that thing. And his face just buried up in the ground.
Cinders.
Oh, it didn't hurt him bad, but he looked awful. And his face was all scratched up. Well, he went home, and he looked like a cur dog, really. I mean, he was scratched up awful. And his mother wanted to know what happened, and he told her he just got hurt playing. And she got all upset over it. And her answer to him not slipping off anymore, now this is a fact, this is the truth. She started making him wear dresses.
He wouldn't get out of the house for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could go by there and Eddie would have a dress on. And I mean that was about as bad as you could treat a boy.
Also, he was gonna play with y'all.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't come around the house.
Well, we missed him for a long time, and that's how we found out he was wearing a dress at home. We was afraid they was mad at us because he got
No, we
hurt.
wasn't afraid of
But every time he went home, he was hurt.
Well,
Anyway,
Well,
What
didn't y'all
about
read?
the day you guys got off the school bus and your friend met you? He'd fallen off the foot log.
It's not locked, is it?
you don't forget anything.
No, I don't.
Red Cook.
No, I don't.
Red Cook, he wasn't old enough to go to school, and he would always meet us at the bus when we got off of the school bus after school. And he was standing out there one day, and he had a Kotex wrapped around his head. I mean, taped on. And it was right around his forehead and had the tape all the way around it. And we asked him, what do you got on your head? And he was tongue-tied, and he said, got Kotex. And we didn't know what a Kotex was. And we asked him what happened. He said, I
Can you see?
running across the foot log and fell off in the creek and cut my head real bad. His mother had put a Kotex on his head. It worked. Well, yeah. Yeah, it worked.
Oh, I can see you. I see you.
Okay, who was it that the teacher
You
took
don't
in the
see
cold
us?
room to paddle?
Bill King.
Is it
Bill
black?
King.
One of you two.
No, it was Bill King.
I went in, I had to
Can
go
you see it
first.
now?
And you got paddle.
It was the only
Oh,
one
did
I
you?
ever
You
got.
see that?
Yeah. Yeah, only one. It was the
Well, it
first
was
one.
old lady Brown. It was.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't
the
ever want to
principal.
get. You didn't want to ever get a whipping.
The
Yeah.
Muppets, those two
Twice
men
for
on the
her.
Muppets.
I'm gonna pick up your equipment and
Yeah.
I am now.
Hold
But
that. I gotta go get my batteries.
during recess, of course, we didn't have swing sets and all that stuff they got today, so we just had to find something to do during recess. And old Sam, the janitor, back then they had to use oily sawdust to sweep the floors.
Oh.
And he would sweep the floors and he'd gather up all the waste baskets and he'd put them in a barrel out in the playground. He had vent holes cut in the bottom and he'd burn the trash out on the playground.
Right where all the kids played.
Yeah, where we was all
No fence around.
No, ashes flying everywhere. But he had the fire going in the barrel, burning the waste out of the school and the old oily sawdust. I found a firecracker, mistake, that didn't have a fuse in it. But you know how you can break them open and spew them. Well, I found a straw and I
He
stuck
getting
it.
ready to lie now.
Yeah, I stuck a straw in the bottom and got it going. And I broke the firecracker open and I stuck it to that and it started spewing. Well, Bill Keener, he wore hard sole, broken ends, high top shoes. He run over there and stomped it and it sounded like a landmine to me. It went off and I looked up and the principal, Miss Brown, was standing up there doing this number. And I said, she said, and I pointed at Bill. Well, Bill was the type that when he got excited and upset, his eyes would jump. You know,
They jumped all the time.
Yeah, they jumped all the time.
Didn't there jump out of his
Yeah,
head?
when he got upset and excited, they jumped real fast and his gums would bleed.
Well, now that's a fact.
He would turn into a monster. He would turn into a monster. And I looked up and she wanted me first because I was the one that found the firecracker. Bill, he was just an accessory because he stomped it and made it explode. Well, I went up first and she said, cloakroom. Well, I went
That's
in.
where you got your whipping.
Yeah,
Whipping.
yeah, they took you in the cloakroom. It was a room in the back behind the teachers. You went in one side and out the other and you hung all your stuff in there and put your lunches in there. Well, that's where you got paddling too. But I went in and she had a paddle and it had holes in it. So the wind wouldn't hold it back. And she only gave me 2 licks, but it felt like 100.
She would. She never did whip me, but she
She
would.
get you by the belt and pull your.
Well, she'd make you pull your pants tight.
Yeah, yeah. She put her them hands in her back. She'd tighten them up. But
2 legs, but she'd lift you off the floor with both of them.
yeah, I took my lickings.
With a double paddle.
Yeah, I took my lickings and I went out and sat down like she told me to. Bill. Old Bill got up. The gums are bleeding, the eyes are dancing. He was just about maxed out. He went in the cloakroom and I heard the office racket. There was banging going on. I heard him hollering and I said, well, Lord, she's killing Bill. Bill come out of there, wasn't a thing. thing wrong with him, but his eyes were dancing, his gums were still bleeding. And poor Principal Brown come out of there, and she had, her stockings was down around her ankles, her shins were bleeding, her hair was messed up. And she said, you can have a seat, Bill. And he sat down and finally settled down, but she never did paddle Bill. And that was the two whippings the two that I got in school was the first and the last. And it made a believer out of it. Don't play with fire at school.
I want to tell something on myself. You remember how those cloak rooms, they called them cloaks. You know, you wore them. You didn't wear a coat. But the blackboard was behind the teacher's desk. And they had a chalk trough that went all the way around in front of and then it would go just around the corner and a little bit into the cloak room.
He really did. He really did.
And I kept wanting to go to the restroom, and Miss Brown wouldn't let me.
Oh.
And I finally said, I'm going to go anyway if you don't let me. And she said, go to the cloakroom. That was part of the penalty. And you'd have to go in there and stand for 15, 20 minutes.
Call it timeout.
Time out, yeah. Well, I went in there and I stood for about 10 minutes. And I said, Miss Brown, can I go to the restroom? She said, be quiet. And I did. I shut up. About 5 minutes later, I decided, well, I'm going to pee.
He did. And peed.
Well, I peed in that chalk trough, and it didn't dawn on me that it would run around behind her chair. And I really had to go. And it felt so good of being in that getting trough. She said, Mr. Bryant. I said, what? She said, what are you doing? And I thought, oh, golly.
It leaked.
I said, I've been wanting to do what I just got through doing. You wouldn't let me go. And you know, she let me. She said, you're going to have to clean it up. And I said, well, I will. And she didn't. She didn't send me to the office or anything. Because she knew that I had to pee when I said I did. And I told her that I was serious about it. But you know, I always got along with her.
Yeah. But it's like, that's sort of like the story on old Richard Keener. At the swimming hole. He didn't know it would float.
He pooped in
That's why he told Ronnie, who did that? And Richard said, well, I didn't know it'd float. At the swimming hole.
He's the one that we'd go down to the lake to swim, and we considered it our private swimming place. And Richard lived across the slough from it, and he could hear us down there having a big time. And they lived back up in the woods above the slough. If you don't know what a slough is, that's where water backs up from the main lake. And we were having a big time. Well, he got to where he would swim. There was a grapevine there. And he got to where he would come running out of there, down behind their house and out, and he'd grab that grapevine and swing out and drop off in the water. And we cut that vine up, I guess, 10 feet off the ground. But anyway, it was high enough off the ground. And we were over there one day having a big time. And Richard would always give it that alley-oop, you know.
That Tarzan thing.
Tarzan,
Yeah.
And we heard him coming. He gave that Tarzan yell. And we saw him come out of the woods on that vine, and it broke. And he never did hit the water. He hit the ground before.
But you know, didn't we, before that, we greased it, didn't we?
Oh, God.
Yeah. He come down through there and grabbed the grapevine and just kept going and said, "Who greased the grapevine?"
Well, we cut it after that because he never did quit. It's a wonder we weren't
Oh,
considered.
yeah. Yeah. It ain't no wonder we are like we are. Hey.
I guess.
Is he the one that could hold his breath so long, or is
Oh,
it?
that was
was Bill
Bill.
Keener.
That's the one that had dancy eyes.
And
Bleeding
bleeding
gums.
gums.
Well,
Maybe
he was
that's why
out there in the
his
middle of the
gums
slough
bled.
swimming. We were skipping rocks.
Yeah, that was down there at the main town.
Well, yeah, you know how you can find a flat rock and throw it and it'll skip? And we didn't even know Bill Keener was with us.
Well, he could swim halfway across the river underwater.
Who was it threw the rock?
Me?
Well, we were skipping rocks, and Wayne, he was ahead. He was getting more skips out of it, and he threw that flat rock, and it was really going along there, and old Bill Keener raised up out of the water and hit him.
Where did he come from?
We didn't even know he was anywhere
He
around.
swam underwater from Kingston. He had to, because we've been down there 30 minutes.